Cuyunon tribe, presented by Daniel Given Acido, Romulo Amora III, Arnold John Bunbon, John Barry Salazar, Jasper Brawl Simon, and Alexander Zubiaga. The Cuyunon refers to an ethnic group that dwells in the municipality of Cuyo, northern and in central Palawan. The Cuyunons are originally from Cuyo and the surrounding Cuyo Islands that is found in Sulu Sea in the northern portion of Palawan. This group of indigents is considered as an elite class among the hierarchy of the natives who lives in Palawan. During the Spanish colonization in the Philippines, Cuyo was one of the territories of Palawan that had the strongest Spanish presence. Composed of about 240,000 people, as recorded for the year 2015, although scattered all over the world, 85% of them permanently resides in the province of Palawan. They originated genetically and linguistically from Panay Island in the central Philippines since 1250 AD, but the Cuyuno of today is usually Roman Catholic, Christian Protestants, and animist with strong Spanish adaptations. The Cuyunon tribe, unlike most of the Philippines' homogeneous tribal groups, is a heterogeneous tribe. Their ancestors could be traced back to the ancient migrants and traders who settled down in Palawan like the Chinese, Arabs, Jews, Indians, Malays, Visayans, Spanish, and other Europeans. Although the language of the Cuyunons is closely related to the Karaya of Miagao in Iloilo province, the fact remains that as early as 1250s, the early Cuyunon tribe became the common denominator of all the homogeneous tribes of Palawan because they always intermarry with the Bataks, Tagbanuas, Agutainins, Molbogs, and other tribes that live in Palawan. Embrace modernization. Cuyunon can be seen anywhere in the province and even the city of Puerto Princesa. Cuyunons are divided into four subgroups, which distinguish one Cuyunon from the other. First, Paraguanan, the Cuyuno people who settled mostly in the mainland Palawan, Paragua. Second, Puruanan, the Cuyuno people who settled mostly in the islands and islets of Palawan. Number three, Mestizo, the Cuyuno who usually are half Chinese or Spanish. And last, Lacto, the Cuyuno who did not accept Catholicism and live as animist. Cuyunons, unlike the other tribes in Palawan, may be seen anywhere in province and even in city of Puerto Princesa. They are the ones who have embraced modernization and have utilized it in their daily lives, making it hard to identify them when they are in public unless you ask them about their ethnicity.
Let's go now to the history of Cuyunon. During the Spanish colonization in 1622, the Conde de San Agustin, together with five Spanish missionaries, colonized the island named Cuyo and convert the native population to Catholicism. They immediately baptized some 500 Cuyunon. Many still regarded their indigenous Cuyunon religion as sacred and continue to perform Cuyunon rituals. Cuyo was one of the territories of Palawan that had the strongest Spanish presence, even being the capital of the entire Palawan. after Puerto Princesa from 1873 to 1903. Ati-ati is one of the culture in Cuyunon. It is an all-male ensemble of drummers in tepano or flutes, which includes a clown. They paint their face and wear headdresses woven from chicken feathers. It is also the occasion of falling on the latter part of August, when the image of Saint Augustine is paraded around the island. The ati-ati or the number of several groups, because each barrio has its own participation, would dance in front of the saint in a suggestive and warlike instance, as if to fight and challenge him, as they represent themselves as barbarians and savages. Coming down from the docks, as the image enters the church at the end of the procession, they form a two-row and there they lay prostrate in humble surrender and to ask forgiveness for their deeds. The second culture of Cuyunon is the Comedia. It is larger than the Ati-Ati and is more refined and sophisticated. The participants are dressed in colorful costume. It is a musical and verse parody, and usually the scenario is the never-ending conflict between the Christians and Muslims. The lines are said in a sing-song manner, but when the occasion demands it, they raise their voices loud and clear to the accompaniment of the drums and timpanos. The fighting sequences are long and noisy, and only the entrance of princes can hush them. The show lasts for over an hour, and only the rich can afford to have this performed in front of their houses because the fee is high for a group of 50. The Commedia is also celebrated during the month of August. The third one is the Tamburas. So every December, the Tamburas or carolers serenade each houses for a fee with the native songs on the nativity. When the host permits, the tamburas composed mostly of girls, accompanied by a complete string orchestra of guitars, violin, banjos, etc., and dances for 5 centavos a dance. This is popularly known as cinco cinco, but due to inflation, the rate has soared to 20. Both the male oligarchs and the mass, especially the older ones, enjoy this aspect of cultural heritage of Cuyo. The fourth culture is the Sinulog. Sinulog is similar to the Ati-Ati in that it features half-naked male who plays the role of Indians, with a painted face and fancy headdresses. They dance and recite verses as they go along in a sing-song style. They execute fast warlike dances. The fifth is the Inocentes. Inocentes is a group of 10 dancers who sing in the vernacular. They wear masks made of coconut fibers with leaves of grass strewn all over their costume. Their orchestra consists of a drum, a flute, a guitar, and other supporting instruments. The tradition, a clown is always present. The last culture of Cuyunon is the Sayaw. The Sayaw, as the name suggests, is a marked contrast to the Sinulog in that its movements are more graceful and the music touching and exotic. They dance the pundo pundo, the curates, and the other native dances in their repertoire. To the accompaniment of the guitar, a drum, and a tipano, they also sing and recite versos. The women wear patadyong while the men dress like Indians, with the coconut leaves and headdress.
So next is we have the belief. The island of Cuyo between Palawan and Panay Islands is the home of the Cuyunon Palaweños, or simply Cuyunon. Because of the isle's proximity to the Visayas, its language has similarities with the Visayan language. Ra- ra- ratat, Ratagnan. A language in Mindoro also has many similarities with Cuyunon. The Cuyunon Palaweños have mixed their old animist beliefs with Christianity to come up with a new set. They have retained their Cuyunon identity even as their society slowly blends with the modern world. So for their livelihood, Cuyo is the oldest town in Palawan with a culture of its own, which has been preserved all these 350 years, and a dialect spoken by 43% of the estimated 300,000 Palaweños. Around, around its islets are rich fishing grounds. It is estimated that of about 200,000 pesos worth of fish caught annually in Palawan, 50% comes from the waters around Cuyo Islands. The Cuyunon tribe, unlike most of the Philippines' homogeneous tribal groups, is a heterogeneous tribe. Their ancestors could be traced back to the ancient migrants and traders who settled down in Palawan, like the Chinese, Arabs, Jews, Indians, Malays, Visayans, Spanish, and other Europeans. They adopt a definition of class as socio-economically constituted through relations of production and exchange, based on access to and use of natural resources such as fish, and their assets, which are fishing gear, land, and etc., and income from fisheries, farming, wage labor, and remittances. Two, although significant ethnic diversity exists among migrant groups, our use of ethnicity is meant to highlight the broader socio-political and cultural differences between indigenous, Tagbanwa, and migrant groups. As for problems facing Cuyunon culture and language that is indigenous to Palawan is said to be dying in future generations. People who speak in Cuyunon in Palawan are only 10% according to anthropologist James Eder. The factors affecting these problems are because of massive migrations of Cuyunons to different provinces in the Philippines and abroad because of economic strife in the 21st century and around 1990. And around 1990 are massive migrations of non-Cuyunon speakers because of economic opportunities that Palawan could bring, which led to business openings without the promotions of Cuyunon culture and language. And with the language policy of the 1935 Constitution, which English and Filipino languages is used as a medium of instruction, including schools in the provinces of Palawan, disregarding the learning of its mother tongue, which is Cuyunon. This clearly will result in negative consequences, such as unable to understand and learn traditional language, beliefs, and practices from older to younger generations, because of least Cuyonon speakers who would have explained the history of Cuyonon and teach them the culture and languages passed from generations to generations.